So unprecedented, uncertain, extraordinary. I think we all can say we see these words and hear these words nonstop, whether we're reading articles about what's going on right now, or watching business related news or news in general or podcasts and everything, that these are the buzzwords of this time, definitely. And they're all justified words because this is an unparalleled situation. It is unprecedented, it is uncertain, and it is extraordinary. But really the question at hand in this environment with brands that you all work with are, what is the appropriate way to position your brand currently, to continue to keep yourself relevant, stand out, and make sure your messaging is heard. So very excited to have everyone here with me today. And by quick background, my company, Blended Strategy Group, I'm a co-founder and president, and we help brands with anything celebrity, influencer, pop culture, entertainment-based marketing. And we have been helping them navigate their strategies with influencer, celebrity, and social media and digital marketing during this time, but very excited for this esteemed group of panelists during this time. And I would love everyone to introduce themselves. Cheryl?
Sure. I'm Cheryl Guerin, and I manage North America marketing and communications for Mastercard. So discussions about positioning brand are right up my alley, and I'm glad to be here with this great panel of leaders. Thanks.
Mari?
I'm Mari Mazzucco, and I manage influencer marketing, PR, and partnerships for Ollie Nutrition.
Tera?
I'm Tera Peterson, the CEO and co-founder of our beautiful company, and we design and manufacture FDA-cleared microcurrent devices that lift, tone, and contour your face. So we're a family-owned company. My mom, my sister, and I that brought the first NuFace to the marketplace in 2005.
Amazing. I used my NuFace this morning to try and look extra chiseled on Zoom.
Orange.
Steph?
Hi, I'm Steph So, and I oversee digital experience for Shake Shack. Excited to join this group. Thanks for having me.
Nancy?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Twine, the founder and CEO of Briogeo, which is a clean hair and wellness product line.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys for making the time today to be with us. So excited to hear what you have to say. So I'm going to kick it off with Steph. Before COVID-19 hit, Shake Shack had one of the most incredible years, even beating out other large companies like McDonald's for the first time. Now with the current mandates around social distancing and for everyone doing their part in staying safe, you guys, people might not realize how many locations you actually have, 280 locations, 15 countries globally. How have you guys shifted your marketing strategy to drive more takeout and delivery? And do you think that this will stay as a strong part of marketing post the pandemic?
Yeah, so it was a big adjustment to our business when we first kind of got the word that there were these shelter-in-place orders happening across the country. Shake Shack made the move very early on to close our dining rooms and shift to a to-go model. It's interesting because we've never had to operate a drive-through before. It's never been a part of our business. But we quickly shifted our entire nationwide operating model to go only with curbside and drive-through. And then, we really wanted to innovate on the model and say, what are the ways that we can bring Shake Shack home to people? We're hearing a lot of feedback that we are a comfort brand right now, and we're happy to be that. So we introduced at-home Shack Burger kits, so you can cook your own Shack Burger at home with Goldbelly kits. And then we expand our delivery partnerships so that you can order Shake Shack across Postmates, Uber Eats. We've had a longstanding relationship with Grubhub. We added DoorDash as a key partner. So we're really doubling down on digital infrastructure. And I think more so, and many of the brands today will probably say similarly, we're looking for lots of ways to engage with our customer on social. So more so than ever before, I think people are looking for ways to connect with brands, and we're looking for ways to stay in the conversation and make consumers aware that they can come and pick up and they can have our food delivered. We want to maintain that valuable relationship with our guests, even at a time where we can't interact the way we're used to inside our restaurants. But coming out of this, you know, to your question about how much of this is sticky, we have never seen this kind of enormous growth of our digital channels. And selfishly, overseeing digitally, I hope it all sticks. And I think that there will be a lot of change in behavior. We really expect that to stay very high, even coming out of COVID. I think we've proven to our guests that digital channels are actually easier in many ways and a little bit more predictable for your order. And maybe there will be kind of a higher value on that for guests once we start coming out of this, that everybody having that predictability of your time and value of your time and use these digital channels. I think it'll be sticky, and I think people will continue to use them even coming out of it when we can start to gather again.
When I started seeing some of the digital ads get served to me around the at-home shake kits, and I thought that was genius, because also what that does is it allows now Shake Shack to all the locations in the US that didn't have Shake Shack before. So now, while that might not have been part of an original, you know, strategy pre-pandemic, it's broadened it, because right, like before I moved to New York, it was always like, oh, Shake Shack, like we had been out in California, and it was, you know, this illusion, and it was like, oh my God, what is this? Like, I want to try it. And then when I lived in New York, obviously I became addicted, and so it's like, for all those people who've heard about it, now they can experience it in the comfort of their homes, and that's really exciting. I also think, yeah, it's got to be strange, because again, I lived in New York for a long time, so I remember looking at the webcam in the Madison Square Park location to be like, wait, is the line long? Should I go now? Should I not go now? It doesn't matter anymore. It's just like, you know, and trust me, living in Manhattan Beach, I've taken advantage of the delivery of Shake Shack myself. So I think that what you guys have done during this time is a real testament to the brand affinity you have, and like you said, the comfort that someone gets from having something so delicious and something that they know. Nancy, you know, Briogeo, you know, something that we all need. We all are treating our hair, as a lot of people are doing more at-home hair masks and spending more time to really treat themselves and take self-care. And Briogeo has some amazing products, and certainly time online has gone up and skyrocketed during this time. Instagram live views alone, I think, are at like 70% higher engagement than in the prior month. How has your marketing strategy pivoted to engage with your audience during this time? And, you know, how do you balance sort of content with the ability to also market and sell the products?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can say firsthand that the engagements that we're seeing on social media across all of our platforms have really skyrocketed. So much of our strategy is just making sure that we're able to be nimble and enhance our teams with the right support, so that we can still, you know, align ourselves with our goals, which is, you know, real-time communication with our community. Just because conversations has increased doesn't mean that it's okay for us to, you know, take 3 days now to get back to someone. So we've definitely made more investments in our community team, adding more members to make sure that we can still offer, you know, quality conversations and engagements, both not just on social media, but also through customer service as well. And really, it's just been all hands on deck. Both myself and my CMO were communicating with client service and our community teams on a daily basis, so that we're able to get feedback in real time, so that we can pivot and make changes. We've also done a really thorough review of all of our community policies and responses, just to make sure that we're being extra empathetic and flexible, you know, during this time. So, you know, for example, in the past, you know, maybe we received a comment where a client was, you know, looking for their order, and instead of just, you know, responding with a tracking number and an anticipated ship date, let's be transparent. Let's share what's going on. The fact that, because of social distancing rules, our warehouse is less staffed. So it's taking a longer time to process orders. So I think, really being empathetic, being flexible, and then just also listening. We also know that a lot of members of our community are working on the front line in hospitals. And as a company, we were looking for unique ways to give back. So we started a product donation program to support hospital workers, which we're really, really excited about. So I think a big part of our strategy is just really doubling down on listening to our community, being empathetic and being flexible.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I think that those are all the most critical things, is transparency and being flexible during this time is literally the name of the game, because that all we can do is be honest with the people who we work with, and our customers, because they just need to know, and then they know. Otherwise, if they have lack of information, that creates frustration, and the last thing we want to do is add to more frustration during a time when there's a lot of other things causing stress in people's lives. So it's been really incredible just seeing the content that you guys have been putting out. And I love what you said about the fact that just because engagement's higher and maybe a volume of inquiries or emails are higher than normal, because people are curious where things are and stuff, doesn't mean that it's now okay to still it's okay to take longer to respond. They don't know, consumers don't know that, and they have high expectations still. And as brands, we have to continue to deliver on that.
Absolutely.
Cheryl, we're all just doing our best, as I just said, to navigate the situation, find ways to stay connected while we're apart, make sure our daily routines are still intact as best as possible while staying safe. How is Mastercard leveraging its resources right now to help consumers to stay connected, be inspired during this time? And how would you think about ways that brands can leverage their marketing strategy right now?
Sure. This is an unprecedented time for all of us, right? So being nimble as a business, being nimble as a marketing organization, this is the name of the game. On top of the transparency you just talked about, being transparent right now is really important, and then staying true and authentic to who you are as a company and a brand. So we've done a few things, and we've aligned anything that we're doing around how are we helping consumers, how are we informing them as needed, and then how are we really truly enabling through ways like connecting people and bringing people together through priceless experiences. So just a couple of examples on each of those. Help immediately, what seems like ages ago, on March 10th, we announced that along with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Welcome, we would be donating to a fund that generated $125 million towards COVID-19 cures, right? So important is that we get the economy back. We need cures quickly, so we quickly stepped in and did that. And that's obviously comms media. It's not a big shout out and brag media type of announcement that we did. So that was first and foremost. Second, what products and services do we have that play a role that's really meaningful at a time like this? And so it just so happens that we have contactless cards. And, normally I'd be marketing them just saying tap and go. It's quick, easy. And by the way, we've always said it's safe, but that safety takes a different meaning when we're talking about what we're going through. And the ability to have products, whether they're digital ones like Steph was talking about, or an ability to not have no touch contact cards. So we're informing people, use your card, use your mobile phone. You have the ability to not have to give a card to somebody and have a no-touch experience. So that's second. And then really important, who we are. We're all about the fact that experiences matter more than things. This is who we are as a brand. We are priceless. And so we pivoted nearly overnight our entire platform of experiences, which is tied to live events and sponsorships and in-person summits, just like this one was supposed to be. And we pivoted them all to virtual experiences. So we launched with live streams a couple of weeks ago with Ian Poulter, who's a golf ambassador of ours, giving tips of how you keep your game going while you're at home. And this week, actually, we did Belinda Chang, who's a sommelier. We did a wine tasting virtually, which is quite fun. And then we connected with her. She connected intimately with some of our cardholders to tell them how to throw an epic, wine tasting party virtually. So we're doing these things on an ongoing basis, but it required a quick switch of being extremely nimble and being authentic.
Real kudos to you on how fast you guys have been able to pivot. I think everyone's, again, doing their best to pivot and move as quickly as possible. I think it's, it's that much harder for a brand that's large, that's very large and so global like Mastercard is. It's just one of the largest brands in the world, of course. And to be able to have moved as quickly as you have to not only give back and contribute and help, as you said, to the actual crisis at hand, but then to actually adjust your marketing strategy at that pace is commendable, because a lot of brands who are large, they can't move that fast because they are large. It's just slower to move something that's so much more and so much more global than it is something small. It's hard for everyone, but hearing what you just said, that all those things that you've done, it's just so impressive. And I'm grateful for the $125 million to the COVID-19 efforts, that you guys have contributed.
Thank you.
Cherry, to add to that, how cool are those live topics? I didn't know this.
I know.
I want to get on that. I want to learn about wine. This is really great topics, and that's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to kind of create things that are really it's going to catch someone's attention.
Exactly.
And that's when you started describing them, I'm like, yes, please. I'm going over to your Instagram and I'm going to start following you guys, because I'm I want to participate. That's so cool.
It's funny you say that, Tera, because that's something my business partner and I both have talked a lot about with brands, is also pivot outside your category. Just because you're a beauty brand or you're a food brand or you're a fashion brand or financial services brand, wellness brand, it doesn't matter. You can bring things that are relevant to people right now. I'm a big craft cocktail drinker. I love craft cocktails. I can't make them myself, but if a beauty brand did a craft cocktail session that I love and follow, I'd probably be wait, I'll watch it because I love this brand and I love what they do, and I'll probably be in a similar vein as me. The same way that if a fitness brand did something beauty oriented that I'm engaged with, it would be interesting. And it really is, how do we just bring engaging content right now versus being so siloed in our specific lanes during this time. So Tera, with that, I'd love to turn it over to you, because NuFace has certainly had such an incredible engaged following in general, but certainly engaged influencers that are unpaid and organic, that through real life in-house house calls pre the pandemic and the shelter in places and the stay at home sort of mandates, that has been great. And you yourself did most of those. And I know it's such an incredible experience that people would have when you're able to show them one-on-one how to best utilize the NuFace device. How have you, during this time, been able to offer services virtually and still allow people to get that dedication and dedicated efforts and resources from NuFace, while still being able to, again, try and think about growth for the business or staying relevant for the business?
Yeah, so as you were mentioning, I was doing house calls typically once a month for almost 3 days every time I would go up to LA. So LA most of the time, sometimes New York, and full days I would be seeing 14 to 15 celebrities or influencers and giving them NuFace treatments. And it's actually how we started. So my mom in 1985 was going up to LA with her big professional machine, going home to home and lifting the most beautiful faces in Hollywood. And so for us to do house calls was just this kind of natural transition for us. And through that time, it was like, okay, well, I can only be so many places at once. And we started kind of dipping our toe into what we call the virtual house call. So we would do it with some celebrity makeup artist in London, or if I wasn't in New York, we would do it in New York. And so once the quarantine was put in place, we quickly pivoted to house calls, virtual house calls. And now we're actually taking that even a step further. So no longer is it just for influencers and celebrities and kind of key partners. Now we're actually expanding it out to clients. So on Friday, April 24th, we launched the virtual house call, which is a complimentary service for our clients. They can sign up and have a 20-minute one-on-one consultation with a NuFace esthetician. And I have to say, we kind of opened Pandora's box because we're booked out for the rest of May. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what did we do? Like, it's such a good thing, but I'm like, this is a lot of appointments. So we're trying to figure out how we can bring in more estheticians, NuFace estheticians, to kind of handle the demand. But it's so great. Like, I had a call this morning to hear from the estheticians, the questions that they're getting and the excitement that they have for NuFace. And from all of the lives, I'm doing, 4 to 5 lives a week right now. And it's just, especially with NuFace, and you want that education. It's a device. And so it's something that's kind of new to some of our worlds. And so it's been really we pivoted quickly. So on March 13th, I was up in LA. We had to cancel my last house call. I got on the train, came down to San Diego, and then we were quarantined. So we literally Friday to Monday pivoted and had house calls booked up that first week. So virtual house calls, of course, and live. So it's been fun. And I don't know, I kind of thrive on the adrenaline of change and doing something different. And I have to say, it's been really satisfying for me as a co-founder just to see the excitement of NuFace and talking directly to our clients, because so many brands don't have that one-on-one communication with our clients. And it's why we started NuFace and what keeps us going. So it's been a welcome change.
Yeah, I think what you just said, Tara, is like, again, not discounting the stress that's involved in the current situation. That's very real, but it is an opportunity for founders, co-founders, marketers, across the board, creatives, to really get creative and to really push ourselves in ways that we didn't necessarily have the mental space before, because we were running around so much and everything. And because now we are like, what we did in person before, we now have to do digitally. How do we do this? How can we make this exciting? How is it going to translate, right? And even for me, it's been an exciting mentally for me and stimulating as a marketer, because that's my entire background, to think of ways to help brands and talent, and people come together in ways that, again, were unexpected and exciting and create conversation. And, I think that it's both exciting that people now have this access to understand the device that much more. I mean, I myself sort of called someone the other day, where I was like, wait, do I have to use the gel? What would happen if I don't use the gel? Someone once gave me one of these a while ago. I didn't really know what to do with it. Now, full transparency, I work with, my company works with Tera. So I was asking my head of PR, I was like, I'm afraid this gel is expired. I don't want to do something bad. I don't want to, and she was like, I'm going to order a new gel. So I ordered a new gel on Sephora.com, and I was like, and I'm now obsessed. I literally can't stop using it. It's so good. I mean, the product is so good. And I know that's just like a plug right now, but it's like, there's just these little things that if you have the ability to get them, like whether it's Shake Shack at home and it's this meal that makes you feel really excited. It's the Don't Despair Repair hair mask that makes you feel so good and your hair is so soft, or it's NuFace, or, as I come to Mari and Ollie Vitamins, I just love my peach rings. They're like a little candy for me and a little treat, but I feel like I'm taking care of myself when I can't get groomed right now. Like I can't go see my esthetician in person. I can't go get my hair colored or hair cut. And so the fact that I'm getting my collagen in these little yummy little rings is like a little just piece of delight that gets me excited. And so, for Ollie, which is a wellness company, a nutrition company, and you've actually, you have a lot of great, similar to New Face, unpaid relationships with people who just love your product and organically support the brand, but you've also had some very long-standing paid ambassadorships for multiple years, some as long as, more than 3 years of partnerships. And, with engagement is actually even high on sponsored posts too. It's, over 76% on sponsored posts. How have you adjusted your influencer marketing strategy during this time to make sure you're engaging with consumers in an appropriate way? And we'd love to hear some examples.
So the first thing, we actually had some campaigns running when everything started. So we made sure that we wanted to kind of press pause on that and assess the landscape and see what consumers and audiences were really looking for in content during this time. So after, looking at what consumers really were kind of having an appetite for, we realized that people were really looking for a sense of normalcy, but at the same time, we wanted to make sure that any Ollie content, whether it's sponsored with our influencer partners or what we're putting out in our own channels and communications, really kind of provided people with, like what you said was, things that could help them during this time that isn't just Ollie products. So of course, we're focusing on self-care tips and tricks or recipes that integrate our protein products. But one of the greatest examples, I think, we've had a long-standing partnership with Justine Marjan, who's a celebrity hairstylist. But she's also, a really strong advocate in the yoga space. Her husband, Yoni, is a certified yoga instructor. So we've been working with Justine over the past few weeks to create Instagram Live yoga sessions for her audience and for Ollie audiences, just to really give them something that isn't totally Ollie focused. It's not pushing our product necessarily, but it's something to help people really live our brand motto, which is happy inside out. So we've tried to find, as many ways as possible for us to create content that really speaks to that message. And isn't just about our Ollie products.
Yeah, it's been really great watching those sessions and seeing the recipes with the smoothies, with the Ollie protein powders, and then just the way they break it down. The yoga is great, but also what I love about those, because I've tuned into a couple, are the meditation sessions and the breathing exercises too, because even if you're not a yogi and if that's not your favorite form of working out, no problem. There's a lot of other things they're doing that's really great and that's really helpful during this time. Also, I love the fact that you guys, while you had, Justine's been a partner to Ollie for so many years, and she is a celebrity hairstylist, and that is her true craft, that there was the opportunity that you knew enough about her and that you dug deeper in this time to sort of say, okay, here are the people we're working with. What are their other passions? What else do they do? Because that's something that I encourage, again, all brands to be doing, is that you might have hired and partnered and working with someone for a specific reason, and not just influencers, employees on your team for that matter too, where you might find out an undiscovered little quality about them that was a passion of theirs that maybe you just didn't know because it wasn't something that ever came up at work in the work office. And then certainly in the influencer world, you just didn't know necessarily, or their spouse or someone that they're quarantined with currently has something that is really interesting and could be engaging. So it's something, again, I encourage all the people who are watching this to think about that as they're developing marketing plans for their brand. How do they leverage people differently than they might have in the past? Because they might have something really great. Maybe one of the employees, maybe I should ask my team if someone's a great craft cocktail maker and if they could teach me something via a staff meeting or something. But I love that so much. Going back to you, Nancy, it's a challenging time, certainly with brick and mortar closed for so many of your retailers, Briogeo being a great partner with Sephora and their brick and mortar close, certainly is challenging, but e-commerce engagement's up a lot, and e-commerce sales have gone up. And how have you guys? You touched on it a little bit in your earlier comments, but we'd love a little, any more detail on what you guys are doing currently around e-commerce and how you're really focusing on e-commerce right now, whether it's through your own e-commerce or with your retail partners. And do you anticipate that staying, as strong of a portion of sales as it is currently?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, e-commerce has always been a major focus of our business. I think of myself as the Briogeo consumer, and I know that, there's so many things that I buy, everything from food to clothes to beauty products online. And I know that our customer shops that way too. And you're absolutely right. When I think of direct to consumer, it's briogeo.com, but it's also the e-commerce businesses of our retailers as well. So again, it's always been a major focus, but the situation that we're in now has really kind of put us in this mode of really doubling down on that channel. It really has inspired a lot of new creative ideas for ways that we can, build more valuable content on our site and on our retailer site to help educate on the products. What Tera said was absolutely right. Especially with social media being a big focal point. I think brands have the opportunity to just do a lot more storytelling and education. And ultimately, those things do help with conversion because it helps to build confidence that, the client is buying a product that's actually going to work for her or him. We actually recently brought in a new CMO at the beginning of this year who has incredible expertise in e-commerce. And that's a big focus too, is just bringing in the talent that's going to allow us to really scale this part of the business the right way. Also too, every company does it differently, but e-commerce at Briogeo actually sits under marketing, not sales. So everything that we do to drive e-commerce is coming from a consumer-centric mindset. It's not just about sales and the numbers, but it truly is about marketing and providing value to the client. So I think that is really unique as well. And absolutely, I mean, we're going to continue to focus on this channel more than we ever have. Because I think also too, post-COVID will create a shift in that there are a lot of people right now that are shopping online who historically had not. They were primarily brick and mortar shoppers, and now they're being forced to purchase online. And I think some people, the light bulb is going off like, gosh, why haven't I done this sooner? It's so easy. I shop and it, gets to my place in a couple of days. I can return things that I don't want. So I think it's also creating an opportunity for people who historically would have been purely brick and mortar shoppers to try something new. So I think that e-commerce is only going to grow from here in a big, big way. And I would really encourage all brands to really think about their strategies, but as equally as important, really thinking about their teams, making sure that they have the right talent and expertise in place to really drive the opportunity of e-commerce.
Yeah, really, really good points all around, and especially on the team side of things, that these are sometimes very specialized skill sets and expertise, and making sure you tap in, whether it's external agencies, consultants, or full-time employees, if you're in a position to be able to do that, that can help drive that, whether it's with e-commerce or any form of digital engagement, especially right now, because there is to try and just do it yourself. Absolutely, of course, do everything you can, but if you're able to bring in an expert in some way, shape, or form, it will be that much more robust and everything. Cheryl, so just building off of this topic around brick and mortars closing and things like that, that is that is definitely one of the biggest challenges for small businesses, all businesses, but particularly for small businesses. And even if the brick and mortar isn't closed for that business, like whether it's their own retailer or the third-party retailers itself, or even if it is open in the cases that it is for some of the brands out there. And even, for Ollie, for example, like a lot of the retailers that they sell through are open because they're essential businesses, like Target and Walmart and the drugstores. But even then, people are sort of going in and out for their essentials, and they write their list. They want to be safe. They want to get in and out quickly and not they're not lingering and browsing as much. And what people are also now having disruptions to supply chains. I know Nancy alluded to that, just in the sense of how you have to manage social distancing standards. I'm sure Mari could speak at no end about that too, just in the sense of, again, we all have to be safe. But what tools and resources does Mastercard have that can really help small businesses pivot their operations right now and still drive effective marketing strategies? I'm sure you guys have such great tools that people can tap into and love to hear about.
Absolutely. So, I mean, this is the most challenging time, unfortunately, for small businesses, and we need all of you. You're the lifeblood of the economy. So it's so important to get everybody up and running. And what we've seen is, and I agree with Nancy, these are behavior changes that are going to be forever changed, right? And people are learning new behaviors. And small businesses are, it's remarkable how quickly they're pivoting to get themselves online and creating digital businesses. So in order to help, the reality is whenever there's good things going on, so we see people pivot, and then what happens, the likes of fraudsters will come after, the behavior change that's happening. So one of the things we're mindful of is that as businesses are getting online into digital businesses, we wanted to put out a set of tools that could protect these small businesses and your employees as well. So we've done a few things that we've put out, and we've offered up now these services for free, and people can go to mastercard.com for them. But first is a cybersecurity assessment. So they're free assessments that your company can go ahead and use the service that we have, and that will give you a good assessment of your cybersecurity situation and needs, so that you'll be protected. The second is ID theft protection for both you, business owner, and employees. And these are both available and free services. And this is so important because unfortunately, small business is a place where cybersecurity attacks do happen often, and that could be crippling, and we want everybody thriving. So these are services we have. And the other is something that typically, is data, right? Access to information, again, right, is really important for businesses right now. So we have something called local market intelligence. It can get right down to the zip code level or industry level in a zip code, and it can give you benchmarking data related to competitive situation. It's all anonymized and it's all rolled up, so you're not going to see a specific business, but it's rolled up into benchmarks that give you information on what's going on in the local area, what customer segments are doing and how they're behaving and shopping. And even store level metrics on industry. So, these are important tools. And I think, I applaud and am amazed at how nimble small businesses have been, but we want to keep them protected and running.
Yep. No, it's great. And I think that like the people watching this, I'm sure a lot of them did not know that these tools existed, and hopefully we'll go visit mastercard.com now and check these out, because really the best thing we can do in this time is take advantage of all these great resources, and the fact that these things are offered for free by Mastercard to the general public is incredible, because we all can learn from these tools at any size of our business, but certainly as you're a small business and you're just trying to navigate this situation and make your way through, having all these tools. I mean, cybersecurity, that's incredibly important right now. I mean, the sort of stuff that I'm sure a lot of people have read about and heard about with things is just so critical that, that we're all protecting ourselves as we get more digitally focused and are conducting business so heavily there. And I think that's something that a lot of times as small businesses, it doesn't get thought about as at the forefront of the mind, and it needs to be.
It's critical.
Tera, so staying on this sort of topic of e-commerce, and similar question to what I posed for Nancy. I would love to hear from you around NuFace of how you talked again about like what you're doing with estheticians, which I think is so incredible, and I know that just launched last week, and to be booked 2 months out is incredible. And also, what I think is so great about that is that those people are out of work right now, and the fact that you're now trying to hire more to be able to service the demand for these consults is so incredible, because they like, if they work at a salon, at a spa, that they have the NuFace and they have the NuFace facial, so they're trained in it, but they're obviously not seeing clients right now. Here's a way for them to be part of the company in a bigger way than they were previously. Is so great. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on anything more specific related to e-commerce, or things that you believe you'll still keep in place even post the pandemic.
Well, I mean, I think that, to your point of giving work to some of those individuals that don't have work right now, even on the professional side, that's a big portion of our business, and every single spa right now is closed. We have over 5,000 estheticians that are using NuFace in the treatment room every single day in a normal environment. And so the fact that we can actually use the virtual house calls to not only potentially bring, even our own employees back to offer the house call. So because a lot of our employees are estheticians anyways. So I think that's a great opportunity. And one I had a call with this morning, and she was just so grateful that we've been able to get creative and do things kind of just a little bit unconventional. And it just makes me feel good too, of that, like, hey, that we're able to slowly start to change some of our employees' lives, because it is a scary time. And I think going back to lives, unlike, where on the retail side of the business, where we could go in and do an event and lift, 50 faces. I mean, right now, obviously we're not able to do that, but the lives, I always encourage the clients to get their device and lift along with me. And at the end of every single live, it's so like all the DMs that I get of like, either I've had NuFace and now I have even more confidence to use it, or I just bought the eye and lip attachment and now I know how to use it, or just little things. And it's not only here in the US, but it's global. So it's just so fun, just this reach that we're able to have, especially right now. And in kind of typical time, NuFace e-commerce and digital is 85% of the business. So we're already a digital first brand, but it's really pushing us to lean in more because there's so much that we can do, because there's so much education that our clients are wanting, not only from the esthetician side, but also from the client side. So you'll start to see more and more from NuFace on the digital side of the business.
That's awesome. That's so great. I mean, I just think that, like, you're right. The ability to engage online in a way that we haven't before, and the ability to watch these lives and stuff like that, is giving people, like, as I said, it gave me more confidence to use mine that I had been gifted by a friend a couple years ago, but I just, was like, oh, I'm not really sure how to use this and everything. And now I'm like, as I said, I'm obsessed. And I think that's a common thing across a lot of different categories. It could even be about how to wardrobe yourself. Like, we all know how to wear clothes, but we don't necessarily know how to style ourselves sometimes. And,
totally.
As you see content where people are showing a little bit more of how to wear different outfits, even if you're not leaving the house, but just like now I feel that much more confident of like, when I am leaving my house, hopefully I'll look a little bit more put together than I was before.
Well, and I think that the kind of the silver lining for a device company, which there is a lot of education that's needed, but the cool thing about NuFace, which I was talking to a digital expert, and they're like, Tera, you have such an opportunity, unlike a skincare or a color line where you know how to put like an eyeshadow on, you know how to put a moisturizer on. There's a reason to talk to your clients post-purchase.
Right.
So there's so much more that we can even do in the digital space that I am like just over the moon excited about. And like I mentioned before, you'll start to see more from New Face.
Yeah. Mari, you know, while the business environment has definitely softened, and as we talked about, you know, certain, you know, there's a lot of, you know, different challenges that are going on, whether it's through supply chain and retailers and things like that. But, you know, Ollie's been able to really support initiatives that are really helping people during this time and help people, you know, during all times, but particularly important, important organizations during this time in proper food and baby to baby. Why has it been so important for Ollie to pay it forward right now? And, you know, what advice do you have for any other businesses that are trying to do good during this time, but also trying to do it in a way that's sensible for their business?
You know, I think it goes back to that happy inside out message. It's always been really embedded in the Ollie DNA, but also now that we're a Unilever brand, it's a really important part of their corporate sort of meaning and DNA as well. So we really wanted to be able to identify ways that we could give back on a local and also national scale. So for giving back to our community, being based here in San Francisco, Proper Food is a office favorite for lunchtime and breakfast too. And they have an initiative that they do year round, but especially now where they give back meals to frontline workers and those in need. So we, have made a donation and have supported Proper, and then also baby to baby on a national scale as well. So I think for us, one, it was identifying those two initiatives, and then also making sure that there was the ability for our consumers to contribute too. But I would say advice for brands that are looking to do the same. I think whether it's something, relatively simple, like a product donation, if you have a product or a service that's really valuable to people right now, I think that's a great way to give back. Or maybe it's something like implementing a way for people to give back to organizations that are meaningful to you, whether that's through Instagram or social media, or on .com, having some sort of plugin to do that. I'd say that those are kind of some of the more simple ways that we've tried to implement, and I think other brands can easily do so as well.
Yeah, I think that the important message, and it's so great to see what the different brands have been able to do. And, I think it's great that Ollie was able to donate like a donation to both of these outright, which is impressive and incredible and generous. Not every brand at different sizes has the wherewithal to do that, but it's just, as Mari said, what are the things you can do to even draw attention to these organizations is helpful too, because sometimes they just need that help, so that people who are your followers and your engaged consumers might be like, wait, I that's a cause that's important to me. I'm going to donate, directly. And like, that's their choice and their decision. There's been a lot of different conversations that I've heard and had to sort of advise brands on or give a point of view on around percentage of sales. And, there's certain, quote unquote, watchdogs out there that are calling businesses out, saying that it's, you're trying to capitalize or make money off the pandemic. And this is a personal feeling I have, is that businesses need to survive right now too. And they need to survive. They need to sell product. To keep people employed, they need to sell product. No one's trying to capitalize on a pandemic. No one wants this pandemic. Everyone wants this to go away and end. And I forget who exactly said this. I mean, I think Nancy said part of this is the transparency and flexibility. The other thing that my partner and I always say is like forgiveness and understanding. And sometimes a business isn't necessarily going to word something absolutely perfectly, because we've never been in this situation before. As I said, unprecedented, uncertain, extraordinary at the beginning of this conversation. So we haven't been here before. We haven't said these exact words before. And we just have to be understanding that no founder, no entrepreneur, no head of marketing, no head of digital, no one is trying to cause problems. No one's trying to be like, yay, pandemic, let's go make money, buy my product and I'm going to donate. It says like, I need to survive and I want to help. And this is the one way I can help, because I'm not at a stage yet where I can just write a check. I wish I was, but I'm not yet there, but I do want to do my part. And that's just something that, again, because I do know there's a lot of talk around this that I just wanted to make sure I highlighted that for the audience here. You know, now turning it over to you, Steph, I mean, $1 million question off to actually a $10 million question. You know, Shake Shack certainly made some incredibly generous decisions recently. And for those of you who are watching who didn't read about this or hear about this, you know, Shake Shack made headlines and the decision to return their stimulus check. You know, the CARES stimulus, which is a complex stimulus package, has a package that benefits small businesses. How you define small business is very broad, but the way the CARES Act defines it is businesses under 500 employees. And, you know, there's a lot of nuances to it that I'm not going to go into right now, but, you know, Shake Shack qualified under the definition of small business in the CARES Act and was eligible for $10 million in relief to help keep employees on payroll and to be able to pay rent for all their, you know, 180 locations and everything, but made the incredible decision and probably incredibly difficult decision to say, you know what, we're going to give that back. There are other businesses that need this money. So would love to just hear, you know, thoughts about, you know, anything that you can share on that, as well as just how, as consumers right now, we can support our favorite restaurants and the essential workers that are there right now or have been furloughed or aren't able to work right now, just because we all miss them. We all miss these favorite places that we got together with our friends and ate what we loved. And it was a place that was, you know, comfortable for us. So I'm sure people would love to hear.
Yeah. Well, the PPP loan was an interesting one where I think that at the time that we applied for the loan, we applied for it along with many other in the industry, not knowing whether we would be able to keep our folks employed for a lot longer. And sales were very challenging in the first few parts of this pandemic. When we applied, we didn't realize that it would run out as quickly as it did. And as soon as we saw how quickly it had run out and that small businesses weren't getting it, it was an easy decision to give it back. And we were lucky because we felt that there were many other avenues Shake Shack had to go look for liquidity and look for ways to support our own workers during this time, which not every small business had. So, you know, our own CEO has been really proactive in saying, we also want the little restaurants to survive. We love them. We partner with them. You know, it's a huge part of our ethos and our ecosystem. We were born out of the Union Square Hospitality Group. We feel very strongly about supporting restaurants around the country right now. So we were happy to be the first to give back our PPP loan. And we were also happy to see other restaurants and other businesses follow because we think it's the right thing. And the hope is that the government will be able to do more and get more funds in there for more small businesses. And then I think what we really felt like was our job as a company was to take care of our teams as best as we could. And, you know, we were lucky that we were able to access a little bit more funding. So what we've been able to do with that is donate 6,000 meals, more than 6,000 meals now, to the front lines all over the country. And we actually made a move to support our hourly team members for the next 2 months with an hourly raise and a bonus for a 10% bonus for managers and a 10% raise for hourly workers. And the thought there is, at the end of the day, someone has to make the food. And it is a really tough time out there, and it's super important to give them as much support as possible. So we've been really looking for different ways to financially support our workers. And, you know, like many businesses, we did have to furlough a large number of employees who are hourly. But Shake Shack, unlike a lot of other businesses, we committed to supporting those furloughed workers with health benefits for the entire time of the furlough, which, you know, all of those are kind of ways that we're doing that for our internal team. I personally think that there's so many ways all of us can support restaurants that we love. I've been quarantined for almost 6 weeks now with my family, and I'm tired of cooking. So I think it's been a really nice opportunity to order from our favorite restaurants, to tip our delivery person who comes, and knowing what that, you know, process has been like from the restaurant side. It's nice to be able to support as a customer, and also give myself and probably my whole family a break from my own cooking. So, so yeah, I see a lot of opportunities for that. And, as you look around all your favorites, I think we were very encouraging, yes, go eat at Shake Shack, but definitely go eat at all of those other smaller businesses, like everyone has said here, who are pivoting to kind of make this moment as positive as it can be for them and their workers.
Yeah, it's my business partner is doing something fun next Friday, I think it is, that I thought was a really cool idea as a way to support a favorite restaurant too. Is she happened to know the head chef at that restaurant, and so she called them, and they're completely shut down during this time, and she called them and just said, would you hope, can I pay you to host something for me and my friends? She happened to have had her 40th birthday in January. She feels very lucky that she was able to, that happened. That happened in January, and we had all the, her 40 closest friends and family were all together on a trip together. And sort of as like a reunion of the people on that trip, she thought it'd be fun to kind of get people together and do that. And I thought that was really a cool idea. And something that I was even thinking about doing with my group of friends, because I was like, yeah, what's the worst thing that's happened? No one calls, they're not able to do it for some reason. I don't get through because maybe I didn't personally know the head chef in this case like she did, but nothing ever hurts to reach out, through LinkedIn or social media or calling, and seeing if you can get a hold of someone and putting together something fun for a friend's birthday, or just to get together and something and be like, hey guys, we're going to have this little cooking class, and here are the ingredients you need. You can order them, through a delivery service or whatever it is, and stuff. And that's another, I thought, just a cool way to possibly help support, some of your favorite local restaurants as well. Cheryl, I'll close this out with you before we move into a couple quick rapid fires with everyone. Mentorship, I think that we all can probably say that mentorship has been an important part of all of our careers. We've probably all found mentors in unexpected different places. We probably all have mentored people in different ways and found mentees in different ways. I know it's been, for me personally, one of the most important parts of how I've grown my career and got to where I am, and how I help people who I see so much potential and get to where I know they want to be, and how they can grow. Would love to hear, any advice for small businesses that are seeking mentors or advisors and things like that, because I think it's so critically important for that, as well as, what other resources specifically Mastercard has to help connect small businesses with potential mentors and advisors.
Sure. Yeah. So, when we were trying to figure out how do we help small businesses more, and beyond, when you move beyond capital, it's things like mentorship and advice that women really value, and they want to talk to other women and have mentors and learn from like-minded businesses or like-minded ideas that they have, people that have similar ideas. And so what we did is a few things. Certainly we got involved with Create and Cultivate, which we're really proud of, and having sessions like what we're doing right now is part of that way to share advice and learning. Second, we announced actually before, right at the early stages of this, and we didn't realize where we were going to be with this COVID-19 situation, but we announced a community. Her ideas Start Something Priceless community with Hello Alice. And it was all meant to have leaders, like many people here, share their learnings and advice through that channel and others. And actually, in celebration, I guess, and support of small businesses during the month of May, Small Business Month, we're doing special sessions on Hello Alice. They're called Ask Me Anything sessions. So we've lined up a set of experts in different areas from our Women's Advisory Council, who are successful business owners, as well as just people at different stages in their business, to give that advice. And you could ask anything and get advice right there through that community. And certainly we're partnering with Create and Cultivate to put out a series of these digital pieces of conferences, networking, and just pieces of content for people to have on an ongoing basis with Create and Cultivate. So these are just a few ways, and we'll continue to do this on an ongoing basis, but we're just looking for new and different ways to allow these connections to naturally happen.
Yeah, one thing, I mean, I just think all the resources you guys have are so incredible. And, you know, one thing, again, I'm telling people, and my partner and I are telling people, is this is also like, you know, I mean, this has been Create and Cultivate's motto from the beginning of collaboration over competition. And this is more so that now than ever in history, this time is needed. And so if you're a small business and you've always admired a bigger business that maybe, you know, is sort of quote unquote a competitor, reach out and like see if right now there's someone internally that has your position there that could be a mentor to you. The same way that if you're a small business, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you have a much smaller business, and you know you're seeing someone who's at a bigger business, maybe it's not a global multinational company, but it's, you know, a small hair care business that could learn from Nancy, or a small, you know, wellness or other small business that aspires to be acquired by Unilever one day, you know, as all had, you know, or if you're just getting started in the food space, you know, or if you're like, I don't even know where to begin in the devices, that's so technical, like reach out to people, you know, use this time to reach out on LinkedIn and just say, hey guys, I admire what you're doing. Like you might see my title and my name of my company, and yeah, again, we might play in the same lane, but like let's just knowledge share and learn from each other right now. You'd be surprised what big companies can learn from small companies, and what, you know, when small companies can still really learn from big companies, and everything. And so I'd love to close this with 2 rapid fire questions, and I'll just go around this Zoom roundtable here to ask these. And the first is, if you could go back to the beginning of your career, what would you tell your younger self? And I'll start with Tera.
You're going to make mistakes. I mean, truly. And I would always think about everything that I needed to do. And it was like, you can't eat an elephant in one bite, right? So one day at a time.
Yep. Mari?
I would say to sort of reframe the way that you look at failure. You know, I've worked for companies before that have not, you know, no longer exist and didn't make it, and to look at that as, you know, a learning experience, you know, rather than, you know, a loss or failure.
Nancy?
For me, it would just be, you know, don't stress, you're not stuck. Everyone has the power to create their best life as long as you have a vision, you know why you want to do it, you know the action steps you need to take to get there. So, you know, instead of absorbing yourself in stress, use that energy to put towards what your ultimate dream is.
Steph?
Mine is just don't worry so much about where you're going next. Just enjoy the ride and enjoy the journey. I think I don't think my younger self would have known that this was so much fun. And so I think there's a lot more stress when you're younger to try to figure it out. So my advice would just be to have fun doing it.
Cheryl?
Mine goes back to mentors. I don't know why I believed asking for help or advice or support at some point was a sign of weakness. And actually, it could be very empowering and inspiring to actually hear from others and learn from others. And so take advice, and seek mentors.
Yeah, I think everything you guys said is great. Mine would be try and become comfortable with the uncomfortable, or okay with the unknown. So, you know, I think there's a lot of times we're not built for that, because we like everything planned, but unplanned things are sometimes the best things that happen to us all. I'll close this with, you know, what is one of the things that during the last couple of weeks in time during the COVID-19 period that you feel you have learned, or you know, that has sort of been, a lot of light has been shed on there. So I'll start with Cheryl on this and go my way back around.
I mean, it just reminds me of how important connections are. So one thing when we go back to normal, and I can't wait, is I remember now, I mean, sitting around the table and having dinners with my family and just playing a game or even going for a walk all together. We haven't done this togetherness in years. So I don't want to lose that. And the same as being connected with your work colleagues. It's just so important. And I think we're finding new and different ways to connect. And it's also been fun on that front too.
Steph?
I would say COVID-19 taught me that you can do anything. I think we can get through these really daunting times, whether it's work or personal. So I've been really impressed watching our teams at work just get through anything. And then I guess as a parent and watching my own kids kind of try to get through this, they can also get through anything, maybe with an iPad, but so far it's working.
Nancy?
Yeah, very similar. I've really just learned how resilient we are, how adaptable we are. I think there's going to be a lot of positive change that comes out of this, not just for our business, but for society. And yeah, we are a strong world.
Mari?
I think similar to Nancy, just, being comfortable with change and with the unexpected, and all of the positive things that can come from that.
And Tera?
So COVID taught me you can accomplish a lot from bed. So you could do a training for clients in London. I was traveling all over, like every single week, and I like making a vow to myself not to do that, because you can do so much via Zoom like we're doing right now. I mean, again, we can touch so many people in the digital space. So yeah, you can accomplish a lot from bed.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you ladies so much for being here today with me and for offering all these insights. I certainly learned a lot from all of you guys, and I hope you learned from each other. I hope everyone watching this got some tidbits and tips and things that they can take away to help with their business. And just again, encourage everyone to stay connected. This has been a lot of fun to be connected to everyone on this panel and roundtable. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Sherry.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.